Hi, this is Anthony DeStefano's new book about All Hallows Eve. It's illustrated by Erwin Madrid. This book is dedicated with love to my sister-in-law, Shiloh Leash, with a special intention to Andrew, Sharon, and Kayla. For years, I've had a special wish to write a book for Shiloh, a spooky tale to fill the night with thrills and chills and pure delight. At last it's done, a dream come true, a scary story just for you. Once upon an All Hallows Eve, a story you may not believe, was told to me inside a very dark and gloomy cemetery. My name is Shy, and I was 10, but I can still remember when my friends and I went out there that night to have ourselves a little fright. To play in such a spooky scene was fun to do on Halloween. And there's a picture of Shy with her friends. Going into the cemetery. We found the oldest tomb we could, and in its shadow there we stood, telling tales of ghosts and ghouls and all things that scare us most. Zombies, werewolves, mummies too, headless horsemen riding through, snakes and spiders, bones and bats, blood and gore, and creeping cats. There's Shy and her friends, and you can see the tombstone that they found, the oldest tombstone in the cemetery. But suddenly we saw a light. Our eyes beheld a shocking sight. From out behind the tombstone came a woman old and hunched and lame. She shined a lantern in the gloom, and in her hand she held a broom. And she swept across the ground. Our little hearts began to pound. Her raspy voice was speaking low, repeating words we didn't know. We listened hard and heard her say, "I have to sweep, I have to pray." So there's this old woman with a lantern and a broom coming out from behind the tombstone. My friends and I were petrified. Our mouths and eyes were open wide. She heard us gasp and turned her head. With missing teeth, she grinned and said, "I'm not a witch, no need to fear. I make this visit every year. Every single Halloween, I come to keep the tombstones clean. My name is Hulga May. Throughout this night, I sweep and pray. Such messy graves," she shook her head, "that's not respect to the dead." There's a close-up picture of Hulga May. And by the way, when I was praying, I noticed all of you were playing, speaking in the gloom and mist of monsters that do not exist. To talk such nonsense isn't right. That's not the purpose of this night. Halloween is so much more than ghouls and goblins, ghosts and gore. Remember that these dead are sleeping. Their friends and family may be weeping. So this is what you need to do. Be prayerful and respectful too. So there's Hulga May talking to Shy and her friends. Can you see that? But Hulga May, I said, protesting, "We didn't know the dead were resting. Can you tell us what you mean about the night of Halloween?" And then I saw her start to grin. She scratched the mole upon her chin. She asked us all to gather round, to stand there still without a sound. We stood beneath the moonlight sky. My friends were scared, and so was I. The autumn winds began to wail, and Hulga May began her tale. There's Hulga May at the beginning of the story she's going to tell about Halloween. There's Shy. Listen, children, to this story of a place called Purgatory, where some spirits have to wait before they enter heaven's gate. When our life on earth is done, we're judged by God's beloved Son. The Lord decides where we will go to heaven or to hell below. If our love for God is pure, to paradise we go for sure. If our choice is to rebel, our souls plunge down to fiery hell. There's a picture of Jesus in heaven welcoming the crowds, and then on this page is the souls falling into hell. But some good people who have died need to first be purified. Their spirits must be quarantined while they're swept and washed and cleaned. You see, our sinning leaves a mark that makes our spirits dark. And when we sin time after time, our souls are stained with dirt and grime. Although the Lord forgives our sins, our life in paradise begins only when our souls are white, shining with the brightest light. That's what purgatory's for, to make our spirits clean and pure. So they got the souls in purgatory. You can see Purgatory Mountain like what Dante would have. But Holga May, I raised my hand. Is it true about this land? Do you know someone who's been there? Someone cleaning all her sins there? Holga's smile left her face. She stood there frozen in her place. Her eyes were gleaming like the sun. Yes, she said, I know someone. There's Holga May. There's Shy asking the question. There was a girl who lived quite near. Her house was just a block from here. She loved pink roses in her hair and put pink flowers everywhere. This is the girl that Holga May's talking about. Her hair was lovely, long and gold, but deep inside, her heart was cold. She never gave her friends a thought. She only loved the things she bought. But she was selfish, vain and rich, cruel and nasty as a witch. She flaunted all her fancy toys in front of all the girls and boys. See that young girl. She passed these tombstones every day, but never ever stopped to pray. She walked right by and turned her head. She never cared about the dead. There's that girl walking past the cemetery. As years went on, she lost her friends. That's always how the story ends. When selfish children are all grown, they wind up bitter and alone. All her golden hair soon grayed. She lost her looks, her health decayed. Her dreary house was bleak and bare. A heavy sorrow filled the air. So there's the darkness of the girl growing older in her house. Although no one for sure can tell, it seemed that she was bound for hell. But God, in his tremendous kindness, took a step to heal her blindness. One stormy night, she heard a thump. It frightened her and made her jump. A dove had hit her window pane. He lay out in the pouring rain. She saw him trembling on the ground. He made a kind of sobbing sound. And to the woman's great surprise, she felt compassion for his cries. So there's the dove that ran into the window pane. She's picking it up. She didn't want the dove to die. She took him in to pat him dry. With tender hands, she held him up and gave him water from a cup. Some petals from a rose she spread to make the dove a little bed. She whispered softly in his ear, telling him to have no fear. Night and day she nursed the dove with gentle, selfless care and love. Every day the bird grew stronger until he needed care no longer. So there's the bird. She dried him off and gave him something to drink, put him on a petal of those rose petals. And then one blazing autumn day, she brought him out to fly away. As he ascended in the sky, she blew a kiss to say goodbye. Suddenly she felt at peace. Her selfish thoughts began to cease. The joy she felt was strange and odd, as if it were a gift from God. So there's the woman way down there on the ground, and she's let the bird go into the autumn. See all the leaves changing? And the bird flying high against these trees. On Halloween, the woman died, the empty rose bed by her side. They say her soul was born anew, and that the Lord forgave her too. But while she was awaiting glory, she had to go to purgatory to clean the dirty, ugly stains that on her spirit still remained. Legend has it once a year she comes to earth to visit here, to pray for all the people living who need God's mercy and forgiving. But I have never seen her face, and I sweep often in this place. Perhaps it's just a foolish myth that's used to frighten children with. Her body lies beneath this tomb in its private little room. Her gravestone's caked with mud and grime. It really must be cleaned sometime. So there's the woman before she died. She's in her bed in the rose petals. And there's an aerial shot of Holga May talking to the kids. But if you want to help the dead, please remember what I said. Tonight is called All Hallows Eve. Some say prayers before you leave. For that woman in my story, for every soul in purgatory. And then Olga May turned round to go. As she left, her light went low. In the dark, we heard her say, I have to sweep, I have to pray. So there's Olga May disappearing into the night. Kids. When Olga May had disappeared, her friends and I felt strangely weird. We knew we had to help somehow. We knew we had to help right now. We started going all around, removing branches from the ground. We cleared the graves of rocks and wood and neatened them up as best we could. So here's the kids clean up the cemetery. And then I sat before the stone and started cleaning it alone. She who saved the dove from dying deserved a grave more dignifying. As I scraped the mud and mold, my heart beat fast, my blood ran cold. For written on the marble stone were words that chilled me to the bone. And then, so here's Shai looking at the tombstone. And then over here it's got what it says on the tombstone. I'll read it to you. Here lies the body of Olga May, nothing but ashes, dust, and clay. To heaven her spirit is making its way, but Olga has sins for which she must pay. From All Hallows Eve to All Hallows Day, she's doomed with her broomstick to sweep and to pray, to sweep and to pray, to sweep and to pray. I gasped for air, then gave a cry. I saw the truth and realized why. Olga May was there that night, and why she seemed a ghastly sight. I grabbed my friend and held his hand. I yelled out loud, I understand. She's the woman in the story. She's the ghost from purgatory. Olga's hair was long and gold. She was selfish, vain, and cold. She puts flowers everywhere. She's the one who needs our prayer. We left the cemetery soon, beneath the glowing orange moon. We held each other as we walked. We hardly breathed and never talked. Here's the friends if they realized that the woman was Olga May that appeared to them. Here they are walking out of the cemetery. My friends and I had seen a vision that led us to a big decision. We would do what Olga said. We would pray for all the dead. Many years have passed since then. We never saw her ghost again. But we remembered what occurred, and we made sure we kept our word. So every year on Halloween, we sweep the graves and keep them clean. And every year on All Souls Day, we say a prayer for Olga May. We pray for all the souls like her, for all the souls who ever were, that they will shine and be like new, and one day enter heaven too. There's the kids cleaning the cemetery and putting flowers at Olga May's grave. You can see Olga May up in the clouds as that little girl in heaven. And then there's a note to moms and dads. It says, a note to mummies and daddies, and all who may have grave concerns about this book. Dear parents, thank you for sharing this book with your children. I'd like to address its connection to Catholic teaching on purgatory and the communion of saints, truths that remind us of our duty to pray for the dead. Purgatory is a state of purification for souls who die in God's grace but need cleansing before entering heaven. The Church teaches that our prayers, sacrifices, and masses can assist them in this process. The communion of saints connects the faithful on earth, the souls in purgatory, and the saints in heaven in a bond of mutual love and peace. This story uses imagination and a touch of literary license to illustrate these realities. While Catholic teaching typically does not support the idea of souls returning to earth to do penance, it does allow for their intercessions on our behalf. Mystics like St. Faustina recorded experience of souls appearing to request prayers, a reminder that they also rely on us for help. However, the Church strictly forbids any attempt to summon spirits, and they give a catechism reference. It's in the catechism on paragraph 2115 through 2117, so 3 paragraphs. My goal in this book is to present a faithful and engaging Halloween story that encourages children to pray for the dead and understand the reality of purgatory. I hope it deepens their appreciation of these beautiful Catholic truths. Thank you, Anthony DeStefano. That's the book that I wanted to read you, especially for these special days of Halloween, All Saints' Day, and All Souls' Day. May God bless you.